All right, welcome everybody. So we got people online. We have some people here in the office, and I will be making some switches with my hip here, so people online can see the screen really closely. Because sometimes there'll be little things they want to see, and it's easier for you to see here, but for them, especially if they're on their phone, it's like I can't see that thing across the room. So I'll be hitting a little switch that'll make it easier for them to see things up close. So, okay. All right, I think it's time to start up. So one of the ways I like to start is having y'all share a little bit about what, maybe your name, if you want. It's going to be online, so share as little as you want. And you can say pass if you want as well. But, and then so people can introduce themselves online. A couple of things. So one, your name. If you have any experience with me, you know what that has been. We're talking about like share a total 20 seconds or less, right? And kind of your journey before here, and then what you're hoping to get from tonight's presentation. And then I can gear some of the highlights to speak to you and answer some questions before you even need to ask them. So, Anna, you can just chime in if somebody has something online, but you can just hold that. Just your name and kind of your journey and what you hope to get from tonight in 20 seconds or less.
Hi, my name is Sonia Corey, and I've been coming here to Dr. Hobbs for about 2 months. And I was a mess, and I've been slowly improving, able to walk more with my hip pain and sleep better than I have in months. And I just came to learn more about detoxing my body with juices.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. The microphone's right there. Oh, now they heard that.
Hi, my name's Mary, and Sonia invited me. I've been a hairdresser for 35 years, and so my shoulders are worn out. And so I have to try to find ways to relieve the pain, but I hate medication, and I don't want to do rotator cuff surgery or any surgeries or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'm scared of chiropractors because one messed me up really bad with my shoulder and caused a tear to rip all the way up through my neck. And I never recovered. And so, they just want to do something before it gets worse. They did do an MRI and found arthritis and bone spurs and scar tissue in my right shoulder. So
all right.
I need a miracle.
All right. Well, we're going to teach you some things that will be helpful tonight. Okay, so this is about, anything online? Want to comment? Okay, so detoxification. So subtitled, A New Beginning. And so we look at this picture, there's the crop duster, so we've got a lot of that around here, the pesticides. They do research, they choose the Central Valley to do research on pesticide effects on people, causing Parkinson's, causing autism, and the closer you live to a sprayed field, the more likely you are to develop one of those conditions. And then we see just toxicity in the water. We see medications. This is toxicity at your drugstore. Hen and pills to kids. So this is not a drug dealer. This is our Western medicine, right? And it's appropriate sometimes, right? It's not that medications are always bad. It's just they're not the best for everything, and they have side effects. We just have to recognize that. And then the food we eat. That can be, of course, a source of problem as well. What you eat, drink, breathe, how you think, sleep, and move. We'll talk about all those tonight. And I want to empower you with ideas. So yes, I want to make you a little sad about all the possible toxic exposure, but I also want to empower you. Any change you make is going to be heading in the right direction compared to where, if you didn't have that information and you didn't make that change. Because we can't fix everything, right? So we can't be perfect. The goal is not to remove all toxins. In fact, if we moved all stresses from our life, we would just be marshmallows and snowflakes. All right? We need stress to grow stronger, but we don't want to be overcome by it. All right, so answers you should know. why no one knows why you are so sick. It's like, how come I keep asking this? So why am I this way? They're like, I don't know. Would you like this medication? I don't know. Would you like this surgery? Why does no one seem to know the answers? And we talk more about that in my class, the Better Results Faster in Spinal Hygiene. But we'll get into it a little bit here tonight. The power stronger than genetics. All right. How some detox or cleanses are harmful. Why the Wonder Cure was the dud for you. The natural, effective solution for your symptoms and simple steps you can take today. Sound good? All right, let's do it. Toxicity and disease versus dis-ease. So toxicity, it's having more, one or more chemicals or environmental influences in your body that you can handle. It causes dis-ease. Too much of something causes dis-ease. That's a lack of ease or proper function in your body, and can lead to full-on disease, where doctors can measure it, see it on tests, things like that. So dis-ease is non-specific tissue dysfunction that may or may not yet have associated signs or symptoms. This is what we want to address. We want to, if we're going to pursue wellness, we don't spend our time just looking at disease. We want to look for dysfunction and how we can support your body's natural healing processes. Okay. All right, symptoms of dis-ease. Excess weight, hormone imbalance, headache, fatigue, fibromyalgia, joint and muscle pains, sleep problems, allergies and autoimmunity, brain fog, and low immunity. Now you notice how almost all of these don't really fit into the conventional medical model. Like, well, can you help me? They're like, that doesn't really, I can't really measure that. I can't find, there's not a drug for that. But they're trying to come up with drugs for everything, right? In fact, there is a drug for all these. But they don't get to the cause, but the cause is not, because the cause is not a deficiency of drugs. All right, so with excess weight, right, sure seems like those GLP-1s are the miracle cure, right? And they just, they're just so good for almost everything, certainly for weight loss, for diabetes, for addiction. It's like, this is like a miracle drug, which is kind of scary to me. Something that's that powerful. But I was like, for a while, I was thinking, man, I can't say anything bad about it because I don't know anything bad about it, but it sure seems scary, and I'm sure the hammer's going to drop at some point. Well, one of the hammers dropped, and that was for weight loss. 40% of the weight loss is muscle. So let's say you lose 100 pounds, you lose 40 pounds of muscle. That is crazy. Now think about the person who loses, and 40 pounds of muscle is a whole lot of muscle. That's body tissue that was burning fat beforehand, burning calories, and now you have 40 pounds less muscle burning fat. And so now you're trying to keep it off. Without the 40 pounds of muscle, it's just going to be even harder. That's less food you have to eat. The food you were eating before that was maintaining you fat, now you have to have even less to not get fat again. Does that make sense? So kind of scary. So anyway, we want to do things naturally if we can. All right, lost in the system or system that is lost. So do you feel like you're lost in the system? I've been to everywhere, been to everybody, been to Stanford and Sansom and UCLA, and they're just like, no, you're fine. Specific tissue damage or disease can be measured in blood, can be seen in the microscope. Similar deficiencies or toxicities do not cause the same symptoms in every time or everyone. So a disease can be these two, but a deficiency or toxicity is going to manifest differently in different people. These are the same almost all the time. But a syndrome, it's a curse. Like, so you have this syndrome, you have fibromyalgia, or you have whatever combination of symptoms they put together and they name it a syndrome. It seems like a blessing at first. It's like, oh, finally they figured it out. They know what I've got, and it seems to describe every symptom I have. This is perfect. This is the answer. But then they don't look for a cause anymore. Like, okay, so what are you going to do? It's like, well, yeah, it turns out there's not really anything to do for this. except for maybe medication that'll make you feel better, or there might be a surgery to kind of help a little bit, but yeah, we don't really know. But we have a really good name for it, and it describes you perfectly. And that eventually just makes you depressed. It's like, because now everywhere you go to, they're like, can you help me? Or like, oh, well, you have this. So yeah, I mean, that kind of explains everything, right? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, well, then why are you looking for more answers? It's like, because I want a solution. I just don't want a name. I want a solution. All right. So that's Western medicine, looks for names, and looks for one target to attack. And if there's no target, there's just a name of a whole bunch of things, then they're left kind of hopeless. So life of the diseased person. You may have experienced this. One specialist after another, rheumatologist, gastroenterologist, neurologist, eventually go to a psychologist because they're like, you know what? I think it's in your head. It's like, well, yeah, it's in my head now because you're driving me crazy, not giving me any answers. One medication after another, anti-inflammatories, antacids, antibiotics, anti-pain, antidepressants. There's a lot of anti in our Western medicine, right? It's because it all started with antibiotics. They found one bacteria and one drug killed it, and bam, and then the person got all better. It's like, this is amazing. And so we've replicated that throughout our system, and now we try to attack things, and it helps our symptoms, but it often doesn't help our condition. But it did with antibiotics. It really did. It really was. And so, yeah, but these other things are just not so good. So genetics is like your computer chip. So hope for a future cure. You do remember when they were saying, let's map the human genome? And that may have been before your time.
Yeah, I'm like,
So that was the big push. Let's figure out what the human gene is made of. We're going to map it. And they did it. And they were like, before we did it, they're like, this is going to be amazing because we're going to find solutions for all conditions, right? This is going to answer everything. And then a bunch of big hype, and then they did it, and they're like, yeah, so we did it. Okay, next. Like, wait a second, where's all the cures? Where's the answers to all the problems? Well, they found out most of what they mapped, and they said, well, a bunch of it is just junk, just kind of leftover stuff from evolution, and so that doesn't really matter. And this part up here, well, turns out we're 80% the same as a worm, so maybe we're missing something. Like, yeah, maybe you're missing something. And we're like 99% the same as an ape. It's like, yeah, we're different. And so it turns out those leftover things, we'll talk about that, see if that's the next slide. Nope, but we'll get to it. So individual dysfunction, biochemical individuality. We're all different. All right? As hair and personality vary, so do individual biochemical needs and ability. And we have SNPs, or SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, tiny but common and numerous differences between individuals, genetic code causing biochemical individuality. Okay, so little differences in the code, and where does this code, how does this change? So there's differences in the code, but even more importantly, there's differences, there's epigenetics. What is that? That's the modifications. So genes are like the hardware, and these epigenetic things are histones and methylations. They're like the software. That changes. You can everybody has the same computer, but then how can we, they don't all operate the same, right? It's the programming that changes it. And so same thing with our genes. We can have different programming, and I'm going to teach you tonight how to change the programming. In utero environment is more predictable of high blood pressure than many other things, which is kind of weird, right? The baby in the womb, that environment there is predictable of high blood pressure later on when they're adult. That's epigenetics. Inherited genetic factors make up a minor, up to 42% of susceptibility of most types of cancers. Okay, so if it's not genetics, what is it? It's epigenetics. It's our environment and how it modifies the way our genes work. That's what they called junk DNA before. Now we recognize that's actually what's programming or modifying the function of our genes. It's super important. It's actually kind of the brains of the genes. What is this? ACEs. something, childhood something. I forget what it stands for. But basically it's childhood trauma. Childhood trauma they've done this research where they found that childhood trauma has a dramatic impact on future conditions. That's kind of sad because you can't change childhood trauma once you're not a child anymore. So I'm like, I really don't want to hear about that. I don't want it to happen, but I don't want to hear how you're stuck, right? Well, there's ways to get unstuck, and that's resilience. We have control over our resilience and how we can build our body up. How do we do that? Well, it comes back to what you eat, what you drink, what you breathe, how you think, how you sleep, and how you move. We can modify all those things. That's what's exciting. We can modify how our genes work. We can't modify our genes, although they have some devices that can do that now, but we can modify how they work for the better or worse, right? So let's say somebody has a tendency toward diabetes and they eat junk food all the time. How early are they going to get diabetes? Well, now we got children getting diabetes all the time. That didn't happen before. Children never had diabetes. And now lots of children have diabetes because they managed to modify their genes powerfully early on, turn on those diabetes genes, and so they get it early on. But you can go the other way too. If you live really healthy, you exercise, you eat right, maybe you have a tendency toward diabetes and you don't get it, maybe ever, or you only get it a real minor degree. Right? Nutrigenomics. That is using nutrition to modify genetic expression. All right? This was a long time ago, but even Time magazine figured that out. Okay, genetic tendency does not equal your destiny. So it's like, oh, I've got the genes for it. So we had one patient who was this young girl, and did she write her story for us? Faith?
Mom did. Yeah.
Okay, so we can share that. So this young girl, she had a genetic condition. I forget what it's called. Mom came to me and she says, hey, can you help with this? Because this gene and the condition she has, it explains all the symptoms she has. I'm like, well, doesn't sound like I can help with it, does it? I can't change her genes, and if it explains everything, it's like, well, then what do you do? I said, well, I'll see if I can find some problems that we can change. Obviously, we can't change her genes, but we can change the expression of genes sometimes. And so we started working with her, and we were able to help her quite a bit. So that was pretty cool. So you can genes. Your tendency does not necessarily affect your destiny. You can have a tendency toward all sorts of things, but it doesn't mean that has to happen. And you certainly don't want to embrace it, all right? So somebody say, well, like I'm Irish, so that's just the way I am. I drink a lot. It's like, maybe you've got that tendency. Maybe there's a gene for that. Or I'm just mean because, my dad was mean and the one before him was mean. It's like, okay, so stop it. Now, it may be harder for that person than somebody else, right? That may really have a significant tendency toward it. But we have a choice and we can make changes. So dysfunction of our body relates to genes. They're important, they matter. But then environment, whether it's internal or external. So what's internal environment? You guys can chime in. What's some examples of internal environment that can be changed inside our bodies? You're eating, right? So what goes in your stomach and your intestines? And that affects the bacteria that grow in your intestines. One of the most profound changes in bacteria come from what it's fed. Surprise, surprise. And then what you drink, whether it's healthy or stressful on your body, whether it's alcohol or sweet stuff, right? External environment. What's some examples of external environment?
Like where you work, your work environment?
Right. So which can be lots of things. That can be the people. That can be the processes, the responsibilities. That can be the air, right? A few years ago at the courthouse or somewhere in Visalia, there was black mold in the ducts, air ducts. It's like, oops, that's kind of bad. Just pumping it out to everybody, right? So yeah. Work environment can be really toxic in many ways. All right. So modifiers of genetic expression. How can we change the way genes work? What we eat, drink, and breathe, how we think, sleep, and move. And other easy for me to say, modifiable factors include our body structure or subluxation. Again, we teach a lot about that in our spinal hygiene class. Let's see, I'm going to blow this up a little bit so everybody, the people online, can see those closer. So subluxations, that's spinal joint dysfunction causing nerve interference. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Intestinal environment. So some of the testing we do is to look for your overgrowth of yeast or bacteria, leaky gut, malabsorption. You guys know what leaky gut is? Have you heard of that before? All right. So it kind of sounds like, is that like diarrhea? What is leaky gut? Right? So it's actually where your things in your gut leak into your bloodstream. Right? Well, that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to get nutrients into your bloodstream from your gut. But if you get things in you should not get, for example, a food, let's say you eat some corn, and you should break it down into proteins and fats and carbohydrates. And you absorb that in, and your body says, oh yeah, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and some polyphenols and some flavonoids. I can use this. This can be great. But if it gets in there, it's not fully digested, and it's like, this looks like corn. It's like corn is not me. And so then it sounds an alarm, and it's your immune system says, hey, there's a foreigner inside your body. We need to attack it, which is great. That'd be like a bacteria or a virus, right? Let's attack it. But then if like, this kind of looks a little bit like your knee too. Let's check out that knee, because I'm kind of suspicious about the knee now. I'm thinking, and then you might start attacking the knee, the immune system, your own body attacking your own body, right? That's autoimmunity. And that's how these foods can trigger autoimmunity, especially if you have leaky gut. So whenever somebody has a problem with anywhere in their body, immune-wise, we're thinking about the gut health, because that's our first line of defense. All right. How environment leads to disease, high exposure and low ability. You guys remember these ladies? You ladies remember these ladies? So Lucy and Ethel, and this was the boss. Do you remember that particular, what was that? What was that one? The Candy Factory, right? So have you ever seen I Love Lucy?
No.
All right, you need to watch the show.
I need to watch it.
Watch this one. You can probably find this one on the internet pretty easy. This is the Chocolate Factory episode. So I watched it all the time, but it always kind of stressed me out a little bit. They were very stressful. So what they're doing right now is they're shoving chocolate into their mouths. That's why they look so funny. So there was a conveyor belt in front of them. And there was a door right here. You couldn't see what was over there, but chocolate started coming out. And their job was to box it up. And they barely knew what they were doing. Somehow they got themselves in there, and they weren't supposed to be there. And so they start putting them in the box. They're like, hey, this is fun. I can do this all day long, right? But then some more chocolate starts coming out. And they're like, okay, we're good. We're getting good at this. All right, and then more chocolate comes, and it's just an overwhelming amount of chocolate comes out. So they start stuffing it down their shirt and their mouth and then the box, and this goes everywhere. So it became quite funny. So that is an example of what happens when you become overwhelmed with toxins. All right, our bodies are designed to handle toxins. It's fine. Our liver is really good at that. It's a really big part of liver function, and every cell has a little bit of detoxification capacity. But there's a couple things that go on. So one is the body, in that case these employees, were they well trained to handle it? All right, is your body well suited to handle the toxins? That's partly because of genetics and partly from your how well you've supported your body over time, and if there's damage, and are you well nourished? Because nourishment helps our body detoxify. And then how much toxins you're being exposed to. There's always a limit of how much toxins our body can handle. Even the healthiest body can be overcome by an excess of toxicity. So it's that combination of exposure and your ability to handle that exposure. And when you have low ability and high exposure, well, then almost anything messes you up. And so when people come to me and go, oh, I have allergies, or I have infections easily, or I have joint pain, or whatever it is, right, that it's either can we change the amount of exposure coming in, some negative stuff, whether it be physical, chemical, or mental, or can we change support the body with something physically, chemically, and mentally? It really boils down to those 2 or 3 things, depending on how you look at it. In and out, right? Bad stuff needs to go out, good stuff needs to come in. Do you have too much bad stuff, or do you have not enough good stuff? It's that simple. And it's the 3 things: physical, chemical, mental. And it's really that simple. So if we think about what can you change in your life, that's how you want to think about it. Okay, I'm not going to go through all this. It's a great little handout, though, when we had copies of it. It's really old now. This shows good liver, bad liver, good function, bad function. This is the good down here. This is the bad. We're all going to be exposed to toxins, but it depends on how well we handle it. Do we have a healthy gut? Do we have a healthy liver? If we don't handle those properly, then we have these toxins that get stored in body fat. They get stored in brain, because brain is largely fat. But if we handle the toxins appropriately, because we have a healthy gut, so we don't even absorb a lot of toxins, but then the toxins we do absorb get modified into water soluble so that we can just pee them out. So what does it take? Well, it takes a healthy gut. It takes being well nourished. Ooh, look at that, like a Disney production right there. Okay, toxins produced and absorbed. Liver partially detoxifies. This is the bad approach. And then toxins are stored in the brain and body fat. Toxins just keep on giving because now they can recirculate. All right, so toxins affect our health through what we eat, drink, and breathe. I'm not going to read through all this, but I'm going to give you an idea of where we get exposure from. Half of almost every type of cancer can be traced back to food intake. Uranium levels are consistently high in patients' hair samples. Air pollution ratings for cities and regions don't even include pesticides. Did you know that? If it's a bad air day, they're not even measuring pesticides. So we don't know if it's a bad pesticide day. Living near sprayed crops raises the incidence of Parkinson's and autism. You're eating and drinking heavy metals: lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, nickel, and aluminum. Lead is continually found in even children's toys. All right. When we started getting a lot of stuff from China, a lot more lead started getting into our stuff. That started a long time ago, right? But they just don't have the same standards we do. Sacramento, 23% of tested 6 to 21-year-olds had unsafe levels of heavy metals. I think it was lead in particular. 23% had unsafe levels. That's a lot of people had heavy metal exposure. It can cause damage to organs and cause all sorts of symptoms. Most common solvents, cleaning materials, formaldehyde, pesticides, herbicides, air fresheners, food additives. So what kind of symptoms? Do you have depression, headaches, mental confusion, mental illness? All these things can be contributed to by heavy metal exposure. All right, I'm going to tell you a story of a man in a Visalia man who's a patient, and he had Parkinson's disease. So Parkinson's, you tend to be really, you have slow movement, right? It's a shuffling gait. You try to turn around, it takes you a while to turn around. He wasn't that bad off, but he was starting to develop it. He was over at his coast at the house. He was over his house at the coast, and he was spraying Roundup, and he froze. He couldn't move. He said for 60 seconds he couldn't move. You think about that. 1001, 1002, 1003. I'm not going to go to 60. That's a long time to not be able to move your body, right? And so he came back to me the next week and told me about that, and I said, well, what were you doing? He says, well, I was spraying Roundup. And so I don't know that Roundup is necessarily that bad for everybody at that level, but for him, we found out that one of the toxins that he was immunologically reactive to was in Roundup. So for him, it was poison for sure. And that was really obvious after what happened to him. I said, never touch that again. Don't even go clean it up. Get somebody else to take it away. And move to the coast. Fortunately, he had a house there, and so he was able to do that. So, numerous chemicals found in infants' umbilical cord blood. Our babies have toxicity because of what we eat and drink and breathe. We have a little card. It's got the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. It's pretty cool. There's little foods. It's a little card. It has foods. Can you grab me one of those? Yeah, you grab it. It's got foods that are particularly healthy and particularly unhealthy most often. Okay, so the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So things like strawberries, spinach, kale, collard, mustard greens. These are really good foods. These are the Dirty Dozen. Why are these the Dirty Dozen? Pesticides, yeah. So that means you want to get these organically grown. If they're not organic, they likely have pesticides on them, and they're likely hard to wash off. Like strawberries, you can't wash off a strawberry. You can, but most of the stuff that's harmful is already going to be absorbed inside. So you want to get it. And then the Clean 15. Clean 15 are ones that tend to be lower in pesticides, or it's just really hard for the pesticides to get in there. Right? Here's one example on strawberries. So I talked to an organic farmer, and I said, so what about the strawberries that are in the on the side of the road? Because we've got a lot of that around here. And he said, well, it really boils down to whether it's rained or not. He says they're going to save money. They're not going to put stuff on it unless they have to. But if there's been any kind of moisture, it doesn't have to be a big rain, just even a little sprinkle, enough that mold will start to grow. He said they're going to spray those babies down big time. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you buy stuff off the side of the road, make sure it hasn't rained any time that crop has been growing, and then you're probably okay. If it has been growing, and there has been any rain, then don't buy it. Okay. Does this mean that organic foods are always good because they don't use anything bad on them ever? No, I mean, they get around it. They're still spraying stuff on them. It's just more likely to be healthy for you. You know, it passes the test. Sometimes it passes the test. It's not healthy, but it still passes the legal test. But they're still trying, or they're working harder to make it healthy, so I think you're better off. All right, formaldehyde. This is for you. High exposure in these jobs: beautician, pharmacist, mortician, chemist, lab tech, doctor, firefighter, photographer. When I was going through school, we did 8 months of gross anatomy. That's where we dissected the body for 8 months, like 4 hours every week. And I wore a mask. I had the 2 cartridges on it, right? And I looked pretty funny because I was the only one in there with a mask. But I'm not breathing that stuff in for 4 hours a day. All right. For firefighters, right, they run into this stuff, right? And they wear masks a lot, but a lot of times they don't. And so they're breathing in everything in the house is burning that is actually maybe flame retardants, but these flame retardants, when they burn, you don't want to breathe in a flame retardant, but they are. High correlation in 30% increased risk of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis in these professions. So that's suggesting that high exposure to formaldehyde or something else there is causing nerve degeneration. That doesn't mean 30% of these people are going to get that, but there's a 30% increased risk if you have one of those jobs compared to having another job. Press board, right? That's that like what's the word I'm looking for? Press board. It's that flat wood, right? And if it smells, you know, that smell is gases coming off. Those are toxins. So that new car smell, boy, I try to get rid of that. Right? You want to cook that out. That new car smell is toxins you're breathing in. All right. Flame retardants are strongly correlated with low thyroid function in women and low virility in men. Here's an interesting one. House dust. High exposure from house dust and all flame retardant products that contribute to house dust, like mattresses and couches, etc. So what they did, they tested house dust. I don't know who comes up with these ideas. They go around, little dust bunnies, right? They're picking up those little dust bunnies, and they're testing them for flame retardants and such. And they found that the more flame retardant was in your house dust, the more likely you were to have thyroid problems or low virility. So house bunnies are making men less virile. And house bunnies are some of the most virile things in the world. Okay, no correlation there. All right, pesticides. Although banned in the U.S. in 1979, of the 287 chemicals we detected in the umbilical cord blood, we know that 180 cause cancer in humans, 217 are toxic to the brain, et cetera, bad news, whatever. All right? Not surprisingly, multiple toxins can act synergistically to induce even more devastating effects. This is true of not just toxins in the environment, this is true of medications, right? So synergy. You can have good synergy, that's the name of our business, synergy. You can have good synergy, you can have bad synergy. What if you drink? Can that be bad for you? Drink alcohol? Yeah, but not always, right? What if you take a medication? Can that be bad for you? Yeah, but it doesn't have to be really bad. What if you drink and take medication? Same time. That is more likely to be bad for you, right? It's a synergistic effect. It's not just 1 + 1, it's 1 and 1 = 11. So what about vaccines? Take a vaccine, that could have harm, but it might do some good. What if you take another vaccine? What if do you think they've tested in these children, having 40 different shots over 2 years? These effects of these mixed medications, have they done the studies? No, they haven't. They've done little studies on most of them, but they don't combine these things together and go, okay, what if we give all this, and what does it do? And let's check over a lifetime. It's like, no, they're not checking that. So combinations can be even worse. Low dose amounts of, what's a POP? POP is persistent organic pollutants, things that stick around for a long time. They can cause obesity, dyslipidemia, that's like high cholesterol, insulin resistance. So even low dose amounts of POPs in your body predict the probability of having these things. Diabetes, cardiovascular disease. Now, it doesn't mean these actually cause those, but it's a correlation. So somebody who gets a lot of exposure, they might also have other lifestyle factors that they do bad things for themselves because they're being exposed to more toxins or more bad stuff. So what do we want to do? What's the answer for us? Do what you can. I went through this, you're like, I can never be healthy. I'm giving up. I'm just going to go eat the bag of donuts right now. Sometimes that makes you feel that way. But it's meant to be motivation, right? You need to take action. The lions are coming to devour you. And just if you do nothing, you will be devoured. You will be swept up along with everybody else with cancer, diabetes, and strokes, and etc. But if you choose to take action, then you can reverse a lot of this tendency. It doesn't have to be your destiny. Electromagnetic radiation. Yep, there's a lot more of those waves going around us now, right? You can receive a phone call from anywhere in the world right now. If you could see all the electromagnetic waves, you couldn't see each other. The room would be so filled with stuff, right? It's just, all right. How you move affects your health, right? Degenerative joint disease, exercise is the best thing for it. Heart disease, blood pressure, of course. Cancer, being sedentary is associated with up to a 50% increase breast cancer, colon cancer, endometrial cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer. Move it or lose it. Osteoporosis, of course, and arthritis prevention. Headaches, carpal tunnel syndrome. All this, move it or lose it. Movement is super good for you. Mental, chemical, and physical. This talks about the causes of subluxations. What is a subluxation? That's a spinal problem. All right. Mental, chemical, and physical. Those are things that contribute to subluxations, and then your body cannot adapt to stress. Are we exposed to stress? I think we've proven tonight we are exposed to all kinds of stress. So we want to be able to adapt to it better. what part of our nervous system needs to be working really well to adapt to stress the best? What part of our, what did I say? I think I already told you the answer.
Yeah, you said the answer was like
I was like, wait.
What was the answer?
nervous system.
Nervous system. What system of our body needs to be working great, right? What part of our nervous system? Like, yeah, it's the brain. So, yeah, the answer was the nervous system needs to be working really well for us to adapt to stress. And we're exposed to all kinds of stresses. We need to be able to adapt to it. Sleep is super important. Poor sleep can increase your risk of stroke and heart disease. It can make you, good sleep can make you live longer. Now, do we want to live forever? I don't know, maybe. Not like this, I don't. Right? So what we want to do is we want to live as long as we're alive, right? We want to be living and not dying for the last 20 years of our life. That's what a lot of people do. It's like, I'm alive. It's like, wow. Is that good or bad? All right, what do you think? And you can choose your thoughts sometimes. We do something every morning where we choose, where we manipulate ourselves. Right? We are manipulators of our mind. We choose our emotion, which then affects our thoughts. We take this back door to our thoughts. Because sometimes you can't just go, okay, I'm not going to think of something stressful. It's not working. Okay? So I'm not going to go through all that right now. But you can come to our stress reduction presentation or see it online, and we go through that really well. So what you think affects your immune system, your heart disease, blood pressure, cancer, digestion, pain, sleep, and immune function. Wow, this is interesting. Autoimmunity, where your body attacks itself, right? Up to 80% of patients reported uncommon emotional stress before their disease onset. Something was coming on before their body started attacking themselves. And then if you get stressed, that affects your digestion. It changes 60% of the acid secretion, because we know the gut is super important for immune function, right? So these all tie in together. All right. Intestinal function affects immunity, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, allergies, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and absolutely everything else. Okay, so what can we modify? Because that's what we want to do. We want to get better. That's why we're here, not just hear bad things. Well, eat, drink, breathe, think, sleep, and move. Body structure, intestinal environment, and improve your body's ability to detoxify. What you water is what will grow. Right? So the choices you make determine your health. Not entirely, right? There's genetics, has an effect, but what are we watering? Are we watering spiritual, we make health or disease, good relationships or bad relationships, fitness, our intellect, our potential? So what you water is what will grow. It's another analogy to think about it. So the wood is like your body. Right? The fire is symptoms. We don't want symptoms. We don't really like symptoms. Paper is like the weakened body. Oh, and the matches, sorry. Matches, that's the cause or the trigger, right? And paper is the weakened body. We want to strengthen our body. How do we strengthen our body so that it doesn't get more vulnerable to the triggers that then cause the symptoms, right? So we can go to the end and go, well, let's just take some medication and get rid of the symptom. Well, that's nice for short term, but things just continue to fester under the surface. And then you develop some other condition, comes up something else. It's like, well, where'd this come from, doctor? It's like, I don't know, but we'll treat it. It's like, okay, now I'm feeling better. And then until a month later, or a year later, it's like, well, where did this come from? This is something totally different. It's like, oh, I don't know, but we'll treat that. It's like, if new things keep popping up everywhere, maybe they've got the same foundational cause. And it's just not being addressed. So we have a questionnaire that's on the paper. And I'm going to put this online. So if any of you online want to get this, you can send us an email or put a comment in the chat, and we'll send you an online version of it. So this is a brief little questionnaire. This is a good to do before and after, especially like a good detoxification or a good change in lifestyle. But it also can help you focus in where you may need to address some more specific efforts. So the medical systems questionnaire. Short little thing that you can score and determine where you are. So what's missing? What do you want more of? And what is excess? We talked about you need to add more good or take away some bad, or a little bit of both. As it relates to health, your time and activities, do you need to say no to something? Relationships, do you need to say no to someone? Or yes to someone? Your mind, spirituality. So, what goes in, you want to feed your mind what you want to grow in your mind, right? So what are you feeding your brain? What are you telling your brain with your words? Because your brain's hearing yourself whether you say them out loud or not, right? So now I'm not about just saying stuff that's a lie, right? But we do want to say positive things. We want to speak something positive. And so every morning we'll say, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm terrific. That's part of our little thing every morning. It's like, well, I'm actually not happy. My dog died, right? But we still say, I'm happy. Why do we say that? Well, we know in our mind and to each other, we're like, okay, it doesn't mean I'm feeling a feeling of happiness right now, but I'm choosing it. And I'm going to choose how I'm going to react. I can't choose what happens to me, but I can choose how I react to it. Okay. Combine knowledge of multiple causes, right? You guys tell me, let's see if we can remember what the causes are, right? So I'll get you started. What we eat, drink, breathe, think, sleep, and move. Those are it, those 6, right? So I'm going to combine those, and then we had body structure, which we kind of put under movement, right? Intestinal environment, and our body's ability to detoxify, which is affected by all these things. So what are the steps? Find the cause. And so this is what we do with our patients. It's like, I tried, I did it, but I just couldn't figure out what it was. It's like, well, when we can do some testing or we do evaluation to figure out, okay, can we find what's most likely to help you the most amount? And let's put our effort into that so we get some traction, and then we can work on other stuff. Decreased dietary interference. What could be dietary interference for getting healthy?
Excessive sugar.
An excess sugar, okay. What else?
I'm not sure if I'm really understanding this, but could it be financial, that you can't afford to buy the better foods?
Couldn't afford to buy the food? So yeah, that's not what I was asking, but that's a real thing to consider. It's like, okay, how can I do this? And that's fortunately, that's what our government is working on a little bit now. It's like, okay, we want SNAP benefits to go to buy good food, but not just force it, right? One thing is like, no, you can't buy anything bad. It's like, well, I can't afford the food, right? You don't give me enough SNAP benefits to buy the healthy food. So they're also saying, okay, well, we understand this is also got to work with the farmers. We need to help support the farmers, not just support the farmers growing unhealthy stuff. We need to help them growing healthy stuff and grow it in a healthy way so we don't get toxins in the food, right? So they're really considering this whole cycle right now, which is great. But we have to work with us today, what we've got, right? So you do what you can, right? So, if it were a choice of like, okay, am I going to buy a soda or am I going to buy a gallon of water? It's like, well, buy the water, right? So, and that's something you can buy for the same amount of money or probably even cheaper for the water, right? I'm going to get some purified water instead of getting the soda. Or maybe I'll splurge and I'll get some sparkling water, right? And I get that, not with all flavored and all the other stuff, right? Artificial sweeteners, just the sparkling water. And those turned out pretty cheap. They have it in the alcohol section, by the way. I'm not sure what they use it for, but but it's something alcoholic they use sparkling water for. But for me, it's like it's just cheap water. It's sparkling. It's like, yeah. They're like, who's drinking all the alcohol? All the sparkling water's gone. Who's emptying us out? It's like, oh, that's me. Okay. Increased dietary promoters. What are dietary promoters of detoxification? I think I'll go through some of that. But you guys know the answer. If you do 50% of what you already know, you'll be 50% better than you already are. So tell me some things. What are some dietary promoters of detoxification? AKA healthy foods. Salads, okay. Salads with what? Come on, some people online, give me some answers too. What's in a salad that's healthy?
Sometimes like little tomatoes.
Tomatoes, yep. I'm glad you didn't say croutons.
I know. Say ranch.
So tomatoes, they're colorful. You're clean 15, right? So we list a couple of those.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Sweet corn, avocado.
Corn, avocados,
Pineapple,
pineapple, onions, papaya,
peas,
peas,
asparagus,
asparagus,
honeydew melon.
honeydew melon. Okay, so those are all, you know,
Salad.
I would eat that salad.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, colorful fruits and vegetables, right? And actually, some really good ones on the Dirty Dozen as well, right? Kale and spinach, and those are super healthy for you. Great support detoxification. You just want to get them organic. Okay, move and use your body correctly. Do your spinal hygiene. Do 30 minutes of exercise 3 or 4 days a week. Supplement as needed. How would you know what you need to supplement? Well, you can just start with the basics. We have what's called the Core 4, really good multivitamin mineral, essential fatty acid, probiotic, and greens, phytonutrients. But if you had to just pick one, I'd say pick the multivitamin. The one we like is the Mercola Whole Food Multivitamin because it has so much good stuff in it. And then reevaluate. Okay, so yeah, I made some good progress, but I'm not all well. Okay, let's go back and let's see what's left over. Kind of clear out some of the smoke. And we're like, okay, now this is still a problem. It's like, well, let's focus, laser focus on that. All right, we're getting toward the end. So I want you guys to stand up because we're not done yet. So go ahead and stand up. If you're at home, you've been sitting around too much, let's do some movement. All right, bend side to side. Go down, touch your toes. And backwards. Look to the side. Look to the other side. Look up. Look down. Wiggle all around. Okay. All right, you can stay standing or you can sit back down. So these are some of the specific nutrients involved in what's called phase 1 detoxification. Detoxification goes through 3 processes. You have the phase 1, and after you start detoxifying, it turns things into a reactive intermediate, which is actually more harmful than what you had to start with in many cases. It's like, oh no, what did you do? Well, so then you need antioxidants to help protect it in the meantime before you turn it into something that's water soluble, and then you can get rid of it. Now some herbs, some herbal detoxifications may force this process, but if you don't have these to handle it, you may get worse. You may create a new problem. And so I don't like purges, whether they be you got to stay close to the bathroom kind of purge or herbal push detoxification, because you may create more problems than you solve. Interestingly, foods that stimulate both phase 1 and 2 include broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. Super good. But you still want to make sure you have the antioxidants to handle those things in the middle. And it turns out broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts have antioxidants as well. Okay, so what is a detox? You talked about a juice fast, which can be good. So what about water-only fasting? The little bees are helping us know, is this what's accomplishing? Is it decreasing the input? Right, if you go back to the leucine ethyl, is it more of those toxins coming down the conveyor belt? Or is it more capacity, or I should say decreased capacity to handle it? If they're tired, they can't handle even a normal amount. If you're not well nourished, you can't handle even a normal amount of toxins. Okay, so what does this do? Water-only fasting decreases the amount of toxins. It decreases everything, right? It also decreases the amount of nutrients you have to handle toxins. So, and it increases the output. Not as much, though. Exercise, sweating, and saunas, that increases the output for sure. Ionic or osmotic baths, those, it's questionable whether they actually do anything sometimes, but if they do, they're increasing the output. Herbal detoxification, that's pushing things typically, and that speeds up the detoxification process, so it's increasing output. Emotional and mental detoxification, what would that be?
Get away from social media.
Get away from social media, news fast or something, right? Yeah. Metabolic and nutritional support. That's giving the nutrients you need, but also in this case it would be a changing what you eat, right? You're eating healthier foods and you're increasing the nutrients you're getting from the foods and from supplements. So this is one that we usually have people go through, is this metabolic support. That includes modified fasting. There's also binding agents and chelators, like the zeolite, right? All the stuff that end with the ite. Those are like clays, and they bind stuff, and they are quite good. Charcoal was one of the original ones of that. People who are exposed to poisons, sometimes the poison control will tell them to have charcoal, take charcoal tablets. And that can be really good. It binds stuff. It also binds nutrients. So I'm pretty hesitant to have people take those detox things for a long time, because it may absorb and cause them not to be able to absorb the nutrients they need as well. So it increases the output because it binds stuff and gets rid of it. All right, colonic irrigation. That increases the output. And that's a part of a lot of cancer treatments, natural cancer treatments, is colonics. All right. What's next? Central Valley Cleanse. Yeah, so this is something we have here. We don't have people go through this program too much anymore. It's super good. I put my heart and my soul into making this thing. It was a 4-week program. We had eating plans, menus, shopping lists. Comprehensive about what you eat, drink, breathe, think, sleep, and move. There was a lot of education in it. There was little audios once a week for 4 weeks that taught you things, educated you, told you what was coming up next. It's hard work. And if you're up for it, it's awesome. So we have ones a little more simpler now. We have a 4-week or 28-day, clear change, or a 10-day one. Tasty, simple, researched, engineered. So it is kind of engineered. It's not as natural as this, but it's still good. And you're eating some of the supplements are. It's not whole food supplements, right? But they are really quality. Specific eating guidelines. They don't have shopping lists, so it doesn't make it that simple. And then there's Simple Cleanse. Simple Cleanse is more guidelines. It's 3 weeks. This one I like a lot because it's all natural supplements, all food-based, somewhat specific eating guidelines. So these are both pretty simple and easy. This one is the most comprehensive. Yeah, so which one do you want to do? So give me some feedback. What are your thoughts on something you've heard already, or are these one of these cleanses? Can be anything tonight. A lot of stuff going in and out of your brain, huh? So I think even for you ladies, you might have got something new out of this. So we haven't.
No, I was just gonna say we've all done the clear change here in the office,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a lot of good results from it. Yeah, so I lost.
You did
weight.
the simple
I've
change
done
too,
both.
right?
I've done the
Yeah.
simple cleanse. I've never done Central Valley, but the clear change for 10 days, I lost weight, felt better, slept better, and my blood pressure went down. I had blood
Here, why don't
pressure.
you repeat that?
I did the 10-day cleanse, and I not
The
only
clear
lost
change.
6 pounds, but I felt better, I slept better, and I normally have high blood pressure, and I was going to start taking medications for it. But when I did this, my blood pressure went down, and I just, after the 10 days, just continue eating off of that. And now I'm doing it again in a different form, and the form is my husband's doing the cooking. So I eat whatever he cooks, and he's very cautious about what we eat, so he makes healthy foods. And so now I'm still doing kind of like a cleanse, but not a cleanse, and we're both doing really well on it. So I recommend the 10-day.
Did it affect your mental clarity?
It did.
Seem like you
Yeah, but
felt
I
like you
like I
could-
said, I did it for 10 days with the whole box with the drink and everything. So I only did that for 10 days, but I continued eating that way. So it really does work.
And I like the 28-day because you can only get so much done in 10 days. And you're like, okay, they're done. It's like you want to develop more habits. So, but if you're like, oh, I can only commit to 10 days, I just can't imagine doing something longer. Well, then you start with what you can, right? That's why we've got it. It's like, is it the best? No, but it's a start. And if it starts a lifestyle, like you did with Anna, then that's great. Then it accomplished what it needed, because detoxification is a lifestyle. Although even when I redo these for myself, I get something more out of it. Not sure exactly why, but even though I try to eat almost perfectly all the time, but just re-embracing it again helps me get more out of it. You want to say anything about your experience?
Yeah. So I did the 10-day too, and I did this before, I want to say like the last year I had my wedding, and I needed to hit a goal to fit in my wedding dress. So I'm like, this is perfect, clear change. So I started off with the 10-day, and it does come with a booklet. So I was able to take that book and take it to the store, and I was like able to, it like tells you like what you should buy. So it was like really simple.
You have a food list, not a shopping list, but a food.
Yeah, like a food list, like what recommends. And then also to my supplements. I've tell this to doctor. I can admit sometimes I slack off on like my multivitamins or any supplements that Dr. Hobbs has recommended. I do suffer sometimes like with like a little bit of depression, anxiety here and there. So when I do like stop for a while and I take them, it's like a natural high. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I feel amazing for like 2 days, and I like, well, you know, I continue and I just feel so amazing. And I notice the differences when I stop. It's completely like life-changing, these especially the Mercola. So I really, really love supplements that he's recommended.
Sounds like it's pretty much it's a lifestyle.
For sure.
And you need to continuously be doing one of these things throughout your life.
Yes. Yeah, so.
I do deal with, I have a thyroid issue.
Mhm.
I had Graves' disease,
Mhm.
diagnosed when I was 25. So they gave me radioactive iodine,
Yeah.
shrank it, and
Yep.
supposedly, I'm not sure if I even have one anymore.
Killed your thyroid. Yeah, probably gone.
Yeah, and so I take levothyroxine.
Mm-hmm. The thyroid
And
hormone.
I always hear, I don't want to see all those videos that they say if you're taking this, you shouldn't be. And I don't want to hear all the scary stuff that they're going to say. So I just.
Yeah, no, you've got to have thyroid hormone. So,
Okay.
and if you don't have a thyroid, then you have to take the hormone from outside. So, yeah. But we think, okay, so just because your body's not killing your thyroid anymore, do you still have a tendency toward autoimmunity at some other organ? So that's the way the medical system is like, oh, your thyroid's gone, so you're good to go. It's like, well, no, I had something. Why did my body turn on itself? Mm-hmm. You know, and they're like, well, I don't know, but you don't have to worry about it now. It's like until something else goes, and then worry about that. So, yeah, we just want to build our bodies up as well as we can, and it's this lifestyle of detoxification. This is the clear change. So you can scan that code if you want to take a look at some of the products. We're in the office, we've got it here, but I think we do. I'm here. Okay. There's 28-day, and there's, on this website you can get different detox support or whatever, but include it in a little shaker box. Advoclear, which is some nutrients specifically for supporting detoxification, and then one of these tubs of powder of this supplement in the 10-day, when there's 2 of these in the 28-day. There 2?
Yeah, 2 for 20.
Yeah. Okay. And the 28-day, there's a modified fast in the middle of it, where you have only ultra clear for 2 or 3 days. So you allow your body to not be exposed to any foods, and you start reintroducing. So it's an elimination reintroduction program as well, which is kind of nice because you can see what foods you may be reacting to. So the goal is to renew, rejuvenate, refresh your body. All right, so I'm not going to go through that. Okay, so let's make this the last slide. If you want to get rid of the dark, you turn on the light. Instead of trying to push out the dark, just turn the light. So if you add good things, it's easier to get rid of bad things. That's the point of this. Right? It's same in the spiritual life, same in the nutritional life, same in the physical life. If you start adding good things, you have less time for the bad things. So if you want to stop drinking sodas, start drinking a lot of water. Right? Okay, so when's the time to start? Now, you don't, even if you don't do this program, right? Anything, start something. So think, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow to start supporting, to make choices so I'm watering the good things so those good things start to grow. All right. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful evening.
Oh, I'm interested in buying one of these.
Okay, all right, yeah. Yep, so people online, so we can get that here for you. And people online can do that by scanning the code. I think we'll take them where they can purchase it. But if not, we can do it here in the office.
I think you need to make the screen. Yeah.
How did you know that? There we go. All right. So that code there. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the, unless there's any questions online, I'm going to go ahead and cut the.
Dr. Hobbs, you still can't see it. It's just right there on the side. You need to make it bigger. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, it just took a while to get up. Okay. All right. Stop streaming.
Do you want to scan that before it goes away, or do you want us to just?
Oh, I have it.
You have it.
I already scanned it. I sent it to her. Throughout my life, I've always bought